All right, shalom, shalom. First and foremost, as always, I'd like to give all praise, honor, and glory unto Yahweh, Bahasham, Yahweh Shai, Bahasham, Racha HaKudash, double honors unto the apostles and elders of Great Millstone who rule well. Salutations to you, sincere and hopeful elect Akim, pushing the word of Yahweh, Bahasham, Yahweh Shai in spirit and in truth. And in this lesson, I want to get into this video from Democracy Now! And as you can see, the title reads Trump meddles in Honduran election. All right. And vows to pardon ex-president jailed in U.S. for drug trafficking. All right. Which is hypocritical. Okay. There's a former Honduran president that the Justice Department, arrested and thrown in prison because of drug trafficking. And now you got Donald Trump saying that he's going to pardon this dude. Along with that, Honduras, have elections very soon, and there's a particular presidential candidate that Trump is backing. So if he's talking about pardoning a presidential drug trafficker that's in prison for 45 years, that lets you know that the individual that he's backing ain't worth a damn either. Okay. So I want to play a little bit of this segment of this YouTube video, and then edify with some scriptures, and I have a little bit of an article. Okay. So actually, let me read some of this article first. So this is from justice.gov. Okay, Archives, U.S. Department of Justice. So this is from June 26, 2024. So about a year and a half ago. And it says, press release: Juan Orlando Hernandez, former president of Honduras, sentenced to 45 years in prison for conspiring to distribute more than 400 tons of cocaine and related firearms offenses. Okay, Hernandez conspired with some of the largest drug traffickers in the world to transport tons of cocaine through Honduras to the United States. It says the former president of Honduras, okay, and this is a president, okay, a president, Juan Orlando Hernandez, 55, also known as Joe, was sentenced today to 540 months in prison and 60 months of supervised release for cocaine importation and related weapons offenses. The former two-term president was in office until weeks before his extradition to the United States in April 2022. Hernandez was convicted on March 8th following a 3-week jury trial. The president of Honduras, Juan Orlando Hernandez, abused his power to support one of the largest and most violent drug trafficking conspiracies in the world, and the people of Honduras and the United States bore the consequences, said Attorney General Merrick B. Garland. Thanks to the diligent work of the Justice Department's agents and prosecutors, Hernandez will now spend more than 4 decades in prison. The Justice Department will hold accountable all those who engage in violent drug trafficking, regardless of how powerful they are or what position they hold. All right, so this is the American government by way of the Justice Department saying that drug trafficking is a no-go. All right, now in the news as well is Donald Trump supposedly authorizing the destruction of those uh, fishing boats in Venezuela, off the coast of Venezuela, which he claims are drug traffickers. All right, now it's known that those are fishermen, okay, civilians, minding their business, fishing, and then they getting blown to you know, back to back to the waters, you know, getting blown up, getting bombs or rocket or whatever shot at them, and they're not even trafficking drugs. So on one hand, the U.S. government, by way of Donald Trump, is via lip service condemning drug trafficking, okay, and killing civilians, and then in the other side of the mouth, that same president Donald Trump saying that he's going to pardon, a former president of another country that is in the federal prison here in America for drug trafficking. Okay, showing you the hypocrisy, man, the hypocrisy of this kingdom. Okay, of Babylon the Great. This place is severely hypocritical. All right. So let me play some of this. Okay.
Of the State Department or the White House or the Department of Justice that was such an important ally to bring Juan Orlando to justice. I want to bring Dana Frank into this discussion. University of California, Santa Cruz, professor of history emerita. You've written a book on Honduras, deeply involved with covering what's going on there. And I last spoke to you when you were going every day to Juan Orlando Hernandez's trial here in New York. This is astounding. Our top news headline is Venezuela's condemned President Trump's unilateral declaration that all airspace surrounding Venezuela is closed. Trump said the U.S. is poised to launch attacks inside Venezuela itself because he says the president of Venezuela is a drug trafficker. And here he says he's going to pardon a leading drug trafficker, someone convicted of drug trafficking. By the way, that's in addition to his brother, Tony Hernandez, who's serving a life sentence here for drug trafficking. Can you...
All right, so this former president's own biological brother is serving a life sentence in Babylon the Great for the same thing. Yet, you got President Trump saying that he's going to pardon this guy. Okay? But once again, meanwhile, you're blowing up fishermen off the coast of Venezuela. All right, supposedly for trafficking drugs, when really those aren't even drug traffickers. Like I said, those are fishermen, civilians getting blown to smithereens. So the hypocrisy of Babylon, man, the whole world is looking at this shit, man. All right, and it's not looking good for America.
Talk about the significance of this moment. Well, obviously this contradiction between...
And this is an Amalekite. All right, you can look in the face, her name, Dana Frank. All right. Probably related to Anne Frank or something. But you can look at that nose, man, in them eyes and see that this is an Amalekite. Yeah. Okay.
Trump's criminal acts attacking people of Venezuela, Colombia, and other parts of and Ecuador in the name of fighting drug trafficking, and that that is a front for other regime change in Venezuela and wanting Venezuela.
You see what she said? She said that is a front for regime change in Venezuela. All right. Everything Trump is saying is pretty much a narrative to bring about regime change in Venezuela.
Attacking people of Venezuela, Colombia, and other parts of and Ecuador in the name of fighting drug trafficking, and that that is a front for other
regime change in Venezuela and wanting Venezuelan oil. So all of this is about his rhetoric and really dangerous military acts against Venezuela in the name of fighting drug trafficking. And at the same time, he pardons one of the, this famous bug trafficker. And, I want to underscore that the evidence from the Southern District of New York was overwhelming. Juan Hernandez has been sentenced to 45 years in U.S. federal prison. One of the things that's missing here is that this is not just contradiction in terms of drug war. It's an outrageous subversion of rule of law in the United States. For the president to just, tweet out or send out on social media that he's going to pardon a major former president of another country convicted of drug trafficking and other crimes, and just throw the Justice Department conviction of Juan Orlando and all their years and years of many people working on this case impeccably, and to just throw that out the window is also terrifying for the people of the United States. So what he's doing is a threat to democracy in Honduras, outrageously, but also in the United States. And of course, we're used to saying it's outrageous, but here he is he's showing overt sympathy to a criminal and saying, well, he's obviously bonding with a criminal, another president who's a criminal, supporting Asfuda, who worked closely with Juan Hernando, and Asfuda, the candidate that Trump supports, worked has himself been charged with stealing a huge amount of public money that was destined for a light rail system and things.
Right, you see that? So even the presidential candidate that Trump is endorsing currently, that's running in these Honduran elections, is a damn crook himself. All right. Money that was supposed to go somewhere to help the economy out, this dude stole it.
Sigalpa and Nasrallah, the other right-wing candidate, supports like Asfuda, Bukele and Milei and Trump. It's this authoritarian right project that Trump is supporting at the point of a gun here. This is a really terrifying act of intervention into as Rudo pointed out, into another country. It's not news, but it's to so boldly intervene in an election. It's like blackmail. If you don't support Asfuda, who knows? The gunboats could be out there attacking Honduras if Rixi wins. And I think people know that in Honduras, and you want to remember about the question of the immigrants in here, because a third or a quarter of the Honduran economy runs on remittances, and Trump is already attacking Honduran immigrants in really dangerous and terrifying ways, and deportations.
Dana
So,
Frank.
I think we want to...
All right, so there you go, man. Trump is, backing a certain individual to win the seat of president. All right, which all those individuals in politics is all corrupt. On some type of level. Okay, but just hypocrisy, man. Okay, on the behalf of the U.S. government. All right, spearheaded by Donald Trump. This is a clear example of the hypocrisy of Babylon the Great. All right, so let me start here in Psalm 94 and 20, as it reads, "Shall the throne of iniquity have fellowship with thee, which frameth mischief by a law?" Okay, America, via its laws, pretty much, allows for injustice to prosper, for injustice to, take place and not be punished, how it should. Okay, so this is the throne of iniquity. In order for the kingdom of heaven to come, this kingdom, this throne of iniquity can't be, in existence. Okay. It says they gather themselves together against the soul of the righteous and condemn the innocent blood. And that's initially what, Babylon the Great has done. Okay. this from Babylon the Great's inception, it has risen against the soul of the righteous, which is the Israelites. Okay, now the nation of Israel, is not a collectively looked at as righteous, but in comparison to the other nations, the Lord created us to be a righteous people. All right, so here in captivity, all right, like I said, from the inception of Babylon the Great, it's just been a magnifying of the Edomite spirit against and over the Israelites. Okay, and to this day, Babylon the Great, its laws and the way this place is set up, it's set up to condemn the innocent. All right, they got the same innocent until proven guilty, but that's completely uh, upside down. All right, in words they say that, but in actions, especially if you were Israelite here in Babylon, you are guilty until proven innocent. All right, there's many cases of Israelites who have been jailed and imprisoned for decades, and then it comes to find out that they didn't even commit, the crime they got locked up for. All right, showing you just how much of a hypocritical nation this is, and a lot of those, jail sentences that are handed out, it is understood that the individuals that are charged with those crimes are completely innocent, but because this place is so demonic, the court system, the laws is set up to just go along with it. Okay, which is why this place is the throne of iniquity, which has to be destroyed. Okay, verse 22, it says, "But the Lord Yahweh is my defense, and my power is the rock of my refuge, and he shall bring upon them their own iniquity." Okay, and so we're living in a time when we're going to see the iniquity that America has flourished in for so long, in a lot of that iniquity being at the hands of in the detriment of these other nations. We're living in a time when they're gonna pay this place back. The chickens is gonna come home to roost. And Babylon the Great is gonna get his comeuppance. Okay, it says, "And shall cut them off in their own wickedness. Yea, the Lord Yahweh, our power, shall cut them off." Okay, so it ain't gonna be too much longer until we see the Most High completely eradicate Babylon the Great and its wicked justice system, is which that don't even make sense, because there ain't no justice in this place. But its wicked way of rulership is gonna be rooted out of the earth. All right, it's a Hippocratic rulership is gonna be rooted out of the earth. All right. This is Job 20 and starting at 4, it says, "Knowest thou not this of old, since man was placed upon earth, that the triumphing of the wicked is short, and the joy of the hypocrite but for a moment." All right, now Donald Trump, in particular, is a super hypocrite. Okay, a old senile hypocrite. Okay, he'll just go off talking about golfing. You ask him a question, he'll talk about golf and talk about shit that ain't even important. You know, and once again, you condemn out the side of out the side of your mouth, one side of your mouth, you claim to be against drug trafficking, but then the other side of your mouth in the same sentence, you'll say you're gonna pardon a known drug trafficker. Okay, just complete hypocrisy, man. All right, but that's for a moment in time. All right, the Edomite nation, the Edomite race, are by nature a race of hypocrites. That bask in the privilege they have with being able to just be complete demons and liars. All right, hypocrites and get away with that shit. You know, and generate wealth initially by that. Okay, that is all becoming a thing of the past, man. All right, and it's really gonna be a thing of the past when Babylon gets destroyed and we put all the remaining Edomites that's gonna be left on earth into captivity. All right, verse 6, it says, though his excellency mount up to the heavens and his head reach unto the clouds, all right, yet he shall perish forever like his own dung. They which have seen him shall say, where is he? Okay, so the rulership, the hegemony that Esau has is going to be all snatched from him. All right, because, Donald Trump is a good example of a proud devil, whose head is inflated, all right, with complete nonsense, all right. But that's all about to go away. It's about to be taken away from them. All right, the pride of the Edomites, the control that they have on the planet Earth. He shall fly away as a dream and shall not be found. Yea, he shall be chased away as a vision of the night. All right, so after Esau serves that captivity, first and foremost, once this place gets destroyed and the elect get delivered, all right, the 144,000 here in Babylon the Great, all right, or should I say the 1/3 here in Babylon the Great, okay, and then the 144,000 which are scattered abroad, around the world. Once the Lord's chosen, His elect, are delivered and receive those new bodies. All right, it's gonna be like a dream, that the elect wake up from. All right, a nightmare. Okay, and then Esau is no longer gonna be in power. All right, so starting with the elect, it's gonna be like, man, like, where's this big bad wolf named Esau that was terrorizing the planet Earth? Where you at? Bring them out. Bring them out. All right, because we know that they're gonna be in them bunkers. Okay, they're gonna be in them bunkers trying to get away from Yahweh Shai. Okay, let me see what's up. Let me see. Revelation 6:16. Let me see. I'm gonna start at 12. Revelation 6:12. It says, and I beheld when he had opened the sixth seal, and lo, there was a great earthquake, and the sun became black as sackcloth of hair, and the moon became as blood. All right. So when the missiles go off, it's going to be a great earthquake, and that nuclear ash or that mushroom cloud is going to black out, the sun and the moon. Okay. It says, and the stars of heaven fell unto the earth, even as a fig tree casteth her untimely figs when she is shaken of a mighty wind. All right, so you're gonna have those nukes dropping. All right, coming from Russia, coming from China, or you might have nuclear subs parked off the Atlantic coast, off the Pacific coast. All right, the Gulf of Mexico. All right, different regions. It says, verse 14, and the heaven departed as a scroll, all right, that mushroom cloud, when it is rolled together, and every mountain and island were moved out of their places, all right, that great earthquake. And the kings of the earth, and the great men, and the rich men, and the chief captains, and the mighty men, and every bondman, and every free man hid themselves in the dens and in the rocks of the mountains. All right, so you're gonna have people. Hey man, that's gonna be crazy. You know, just nukes going off all over the place. All right, not only here in America. You gotta understand, America got nukes too. All right, and whatever nukes the Lord is gonna allow America to shoot off to hit other regions of the earth, they're gonna hit other regions too. So America gonna be completely destroyed. And the men that's left upon the earth, all right, they have the ability to, in particular the elites, they're gonna be in them bunkers. All right, them dumbs, deep underground military bunkers, personal bunkers they have. All right, even trying to get up into certain regions of the earth. You have populations that live in rocky, mountainous climates, and explore caves and things of that nature. So when shit get crazy, those that have the ability to actually go into the mountains is going to do that. All right. On top of, like I said, these underground military bunkers that the elites is going to have access to. All right. So verse 15, and the kings of the earth, and the great men, and the rich men, and the chief captains, and the mighty men, and every bondman, and every free man, hid themselves in the dens and in the rocks of the mountains, and said to the mountains and rocks, fall on us, and hide us from the face of him that sitteth on the throne, and from the wrath of the Lamb. Okay? For the great day of his wrath is come, and who shall be able to stand? All right, and the elect, the 144,000, 1/3, that great multitude, that's who's going to be able to stand. All right, but as far as these elites, all right, whether they're Edomites or heathens, their time is going to be up, man. It's going to be time for them to go into captivity. So, continuing back here in Job 20, in verse 9, it says, the eye also which saw him shall see him no more, neither shall his place any more behold him. After a while, after Esau serves his punishment, they're going to be completely destroyed and eradicated out of the earth. His children shall seek to please the poor, and his hands shall restore their goods. And we see that now. You got Edomites that are, try to do some act of kindness. You got Edomites that are, buy you a turkey on so-called Thanksgiving. And look at that. Even with Esau seeking to please the poor, a lot of times they'll do something on one of their high unholy days, which does nothing more than promote, the worshiping of their deities. All right, Edomite to buy you a Christmas present, or, from work, or Thanksgiving they buy you a turkey or give you a pie. It's like, okay, you seeking to please the poor, but in and of itself, this gift is bullshit because there's a idol attached to this shit. Okay, now being in the truth, that don't affect us, but if you a dumbass nigga in the world, that's just further solidifying your worshiping of whatever idols attached to that shit. Because Jake in the World is all about Thanksgiving and Christmas and New Year's and all that shit. Verse 11, it says, his bones are full of the sin of his youth, which shall lie down with him in the dust. All right, so Esau is just a bad kid, man. All right, I was just watching some boxing interviews, and there was a panel of individuals going over, a certain fight coming up, and one dude, Mike Coppinger, a small hat, tiny top. You had Max Kellerman telling them that he has the ability to, or he has a certain way of like pretty much getting under people's skin, as far as boxers. You know what I'm saying? Some of the things he'll say, boxers be offended at it, and rightfully so, because he's a small head, he's a rat, But the point being, when Max Kellerman has said that to him, which I think Max Kellerman could be a Jake, which he's a small hat, but I think really he's an Israelite, which I could be wrong, but through the Spirit I'm saying that. As a man I'm saying that through the Spirit. But the other individual I mentioned, Mike Coppinger, he said he started smiling and he said, "Yeah, I've had that ability since I was like 4 years old." And it's like, see, that's some rat shit. Okay, some small hat, tiny top shit. To just be a adversary, a little demon, deliberately trying to just be an asshole. Okay, that's in the nature of Esau, man. All right, what's that? Let me see. Psalm 53, 58 and 3. It says, "The wicked are estranged from the womb; they go astray as soon as they be born, speaking lies. Their poison is like the poison of a serpent. They are like the deaf adder that stoppeth her ear, which will not hearken to the voice of charmers, charming never so wisely." Okay? "Break their teeth, O power, and their mouth. Break out the great teeth of the young lions, O Yahweh. Let them melt away as waters which run continually." All right, so the nuclear missiles is going to cause the Edomites here in Babylon, which are a hypocritical people, all right, a race of hypocrites, that a nuclear fire is going to have their ass melt away like water. Okay, water that like you got say you got a stream that's coming down from the top of a mountain. All right, it's a snow-capped mountain, and but there's a continual stream that flows down the mountain, into the valley and so on and so forth. Now, all the way up top at the mountain, because of the altitude, that ice is going to be frozen. But at a certain when you go lower in the altitude, that ice is at a temperature to where it slowly melts and gathers and runs down the mountain, flows down the mountain. Well, that's gonna be Esau, man. They're gonna melt at that thermonuclear fire. All right. It says when let me see, verse 7. It says, "Let them melt away as waters which run down continually. When he bendeth his bow to shoot his arrows, let them be as cut in pieces." All right. So eventually, those nukes is gonna come, and destroy what Esau got going. Real quick, let me see. Let me grab this. I want to see what it says in the NLT. So Psalm 58. What verse was that? All right. So verse 7 in the NLT, it says, "May they disappear." Psalm 58 and 7 in the NLT. "May they disappear like water into thirsty ground. Make their weapons useless in their hands." All right. So the missile defense systems, and even certain missile systems that America got, to some degree, the Lord to have them faulty, to where they're not as useful as they were intended to be. You know, verse 8 it says, "May they be like snails that dissolve into slime, like a stillborn child who will never see the sun." This is how the Heavenly Father feels about Esau. Okay, about the wicked. Um, Let me see. And that's pretty much sad. I can read more, but let me get back to this here and actually in Job. So Job 20 and 11 it says, "His bones are full of the sin of his youth, which shall lie down with him in the dust." All right. Though wickedness be sweet in his mouth, though he hide it under his tongue, all right, though he spare it and forsake it not, but keep it still within his mouth, because you can have an Edomite, you know, be nice or whatever for a period of time, but eventually, that wickedness is going, he gonna say something to prove or do something to prove that he's a devil. Just like you got snake charmers, you can go, they can go a whole year, charming that snake or whatnot, and them using Elon for example, them East Indian, them dot heads, they be charming them snakes and looking eye to eye with the snake, a cobra, a venomous cobra, which is, they can shoot that venom. All right, so it can be a whole year where, oh yeah, this is the best snake charmer ever, but eventually, hey, that snake, the Lord have it to where your hypnotizing abilities wear off, and that snake like realize like, oh hell no, and bite you or shoot some venom at you or whatever the case may be, and next thing you know, you out of there, man. Okay, so that's the nature of Esau. He's a snake, man. All right, so though he spare it and forsake it not, but keep it still within his mouth, yet his meat is in his bowels is turned, and it is the gall of asp within him. Okay, so let me read this in NLT. It says, "They savored it, holding it long in their in their mouths, but suddenly the food in their bellies turned sour. A poisonous venom is in their stomach." All right. So that's a Esau. We seeing how the actions that Babylon the Great is taking, no matter who's in office as president, the actions that's being taken is leading up to that poisonous venom, being in their stomach. All right. You see the state of the economy. Nobody wants to do business and deal with America. You just had all of Africa, all of Africa, all the African nations, I believe it's like 50, 52, if I'm not mistaken, somewhere around there, 52, 54. They all are doing business with either Russia or China, BRICS. Okay. So nobody's trying to deal with America because they realize that you get nothing but ill treatment. All right, and plus the economy is taking a crap, as they say. Verse 15 it says, "He hath swallowed down riches, and he shall vomit them up again. The Most High shall cast them out of his belly." Okay. A lot of what America acquired was, it's ill-gotten gain. All right. So just as, you play back in the day, Sonic the Hedgehog, you collect all them rings, but if you get hit or you fall or something, Sonic will drop all them rings, and it'll be rings just all over the place. And now you got to scramble to try and collect all them rings, which is a hard thing to do. Well, with America's economy being in the condition that it's in, especially with Donald Trump and these tariffs, That's causing a lot of wealth not to flow back into America. Okay, nations ain't exporting um you know a lot of their goods here to America because of those tariffs. And then on top of that, America is not a manufacturing country anymore, so it's not exporting any uh any goods to any of these other countries either. Okay, so this economy is pretty much still. All right. Um, verse 16. He shall suck the poison of asps; the viper's tongue shall slay him. All right. In NLT it says they will suck the poison of cobras; the viper will kill them. All right. So America is is going downhill fast on a mountain bike with no helmet. Okay. And really the decay, because a snake's poison, um, it'll coagulate your blood. Different venom does different things, but for the most part, uh, a poisonous snake, their venom coagulate your blood, man. All right, just turn your blood into cottage cheese. Okay, and also, the antidote to venom is actually lamb blood. Ain't that something? That's something, man. That's something else, So the antidote to Esau is Yahweh Shai, Yahweh Bashem Yahweh Shai. Okay, the blood of the lamb. All right. Um. So yeah, the actions that America is taking, its economy, this place is, the the foundation, the structure, the system set up here in Babylon the Great is uh pretty much infected with venom. All right, so it's only a matter of time before that venom completely uh has that devastating effect on this place, and ultimately this place gets taken out by way of thermonuclear destruction. Okay. Verse 17, it says, he shall not see the rivers, the floods, the brooks of honey and butter. Okay. Ultimately the promised land, paradise. That which he labored for shall he restore, and shall not swallow it down. According to his substance shall the restitution be, and he shall not rejoice therein. Okay, so all the wealth America got, Esau in general, you know, uh, the wealth here in America, it's all going up in flames. Okay, and then around the world, anything that Esau has, he got it by ill-gotten gains. He got it by deceit, by robbery. All right, theft, murder, bloodshed. So that's got to be restored back to its rightful owners, which for the most part is the Israelites. Okay. Verse 19, it says, because he hath oppressed a man and hath forsaken the poor, because he hath violently taken away an house which he buildeth not. All right, going around, the conquistadors, the Spaniards, all right, the English, the French, they went around and pretty much hijacked the whole world, the whole planet. All right, so they gotta turn that over. All right, surely he shall not feel quietness in his belly. He shall not save of that which he desired. All right, so verse 20 in the NLT, it says, they were always greedy and never satisfied. Nothing remains of all the things they dreamed about. All right, so the scriptures tell you that Esau's inward thought is that his houses shall continue forever. So this whole so-called New World Order that America thinks are the the elites, should I say, think that they're going to accomplish. Donald Trump in his golden age of America, next year, 2026. It's supposed to be, I think, like a couple month long celebration of America's 250th birthday or anniversary. All this. You know, the West Wing, I think it is, or the East Wing, I forget. The White House being turned into a ball. All this dumbass aspirations and dreams that Babylon the Great has, as well as Esau in general. Assuming that they're gonna always be in a position of rulership. Yeah, that's all gonna be a dream that never comes to fruition. All right. There shall none of his meat be left, therefore shall no man look for his goods. All right, verse 21 in NLT, it says, nothing is left after they finish gorging themselves, therefore their prosperity will not endure. All right, and we see that happening with America. This is not a prosperous country. It once was, but it is no longer a prosperous country. In the fullness of his sufficiency, he shall be in straits. Every hand of the wicked shall come upon him. All right. Verse 22 in the NLT, it says, in the midst of plenty, they will run into trouble and be overcome with misery. All right. So despite, once again, Donald Trump claiming that America is going to, experience a golden age, all right, people is going to be in misery. The inhabitants of Babylon the Great is going to be in misery. When he is about to, verse 23, when he is about to fill his belly, the Most High shall cast the fury of his wrath upon him and shall rain it upon him while he is eating. All right. It says he shall flee from the iron weapon and the bow of steel shall strike him through. So there's nothing that, Babylon the Great is going to be able to do to pretty much escape the judgment the scriptures have, foreordained and prophesied to take place here. Okay, those missiles is going to touch down and do their thing. It says, it is drawn and cometh out of the body, yea, the glittering sword cometh out of his gall, terrors are upon him. All darkness shall be hid in his secret places. A fire not blown shall consume him. It shall go ill with him that is left in his tabernacle. Okay, so this whole country of Babylon the Great, aka America, it's all gonna go up in flames. All right, and nothing that you currently see is gonna be left. This place, according to prophecy, is gonna become the biggest desert on the planet Earth. Okay, verse 27, it says, the heavens shall reveal his iniquity and the earth shall rise up against him. Now, via the internet, Psalm 19 goes into the prophecy of the internet. So via, these satellites and the internet, all right, you got the feed that'll go from, from your computer, to a satellite and beam back down, to your laptop or your phone or whatever, that is a form of how Esau's iniquity is being revealed. The Heavenly Father using this internet, these satellites to pretty much transfer information in which, you can go online and read or watch videos or whatever the case may be, but you're utilizing, Esau's technology and is, to pretty much see the revealed iniquity of Esau Edom. And then ultimately, when them thermonuclear missiles go off and the mushroom clouds is in the sky, hey, that's the ultimate form of the Heavenly Father revealing by way of the heavens the iniquity of Esau. All right, because if you see a whole, a country, America, you got mushroom clouds galore, filling the skies. All right. You in the Caribbean, or you in Venezuela or Brazil or something, and you look north, and it's just mushroom clouds, man. All right. And you've been seeing and hearing on the news about, you know, tensions between America and Russia and China and the UK and all this, NATO. And then, you hear or you come across the news on the radio that these other nations actually sent missiles headed to America. All right, and you just waiting. You know, you you don't know what to do. You just waiting. All right, talking about these, in particular Israelites that's in these other countries. Like in the Caribbean, South America, and so on and so forth. And then you feel that earthquake, and you go outside and you look north, and it ain't nothing but mushroom clouds all over the place. And that's coming from America. That's the Heavenly Father revealing the iniquity. Like this place, the iniquity, like it says in Revelation 18, the iniquity of this place reached the heavens. And therefore the Most High had to make good on his promise. All right. Real quick, let me see. Revelation 18 and 1, it says, and after these things I saw another angel come down from heaven having great power, and the earth was lightened with his glory. And he cried with a mighty and strong voice, saying, Babylon the great is fallen, and is become the habitation of devils, and to hold every foul spirit and cage of every unclean and hateful bird. So after the destruction of Babylon the great, when that fire subsides, you're going to have desert-like creatures, to inhabit this country. All right. It says, for all nations have drunk of the wine of the wrath of her fornication, and the kings of the earth have committed fornication with her, and the merchants of the earth are waxed rich through the abundance of her delicacies. And I heard another voice from heaven saying, come out of her, my people, that ye be not partakers of her sins, and that ye receive not of her plagues. So this is going to be the Heavenly Father, Yahweh Shem Yahushai, actually calling up his elect up into the chariot. All right, because outside of that, shit, man. You know what I'm saying? You don't want to be left here on the soils of America when the missiles drop. The only, particularly here in America, as an Israelite, the only chance you have of not feeling that fire is to get beamed up, okay, into the chariot. All right, so his elect is going to be called up so that way they don't have to partake. Avaratazah, all those brothers is included in that, don't have to partake in that destruction. Verse 5, it says, for her sins have reached unto heaven, and the Most High hath remembered her iniquities. Okay, so the sins of Babylon the Great reaching up into heaven, is going to cause the iniquities of this place, Babylon the Great, to be remembered of the Heavenly Father. So this place is going to be rewarded for that evil, for that wickedness, for that iniquity. This place is going to be rewarded. Okay, verse 6, reward her even as she rewarded you, and double unto her, double according to her works, and the cup which she hath filled to her double. All right, so that it's more to this whole chapter is fire, but I'm gonna leave it there. So this place is gonna be rewarded, and its iniquity is gonna be shown, to the whole earth. Pretty much when the missiles go off, that is the Most High showing the nations the reward that America received because of all of its evil. All right, all of its wickedness, all of its iniquity. All right, verse 28. It says, let me read verse 27 again. It says, the earth shall reveal his iniquity, and the heavens shall reveal his iniquity, and the earth shall rise up against him. The increase of his house shall depart, and his goods shall flow away in the day of his wrath. This is the portion of a wicked man from the Most High, and the heritage appointed unto him by the Most High. All right. So, you know, from Esau as an individual to Esau as a nation, as a race of people, this is the judgment. All right. And there's major judgment coming to Babylon the Great. All right. The hypocrisy. All right. So going back into what I started the lesson with, the hypocrisy of Donald Trump, the White House pardoning, saying he's gonna pardon a convicted drug trafficker, former president of Honduras, but yet you condemn so-called drug traffickers, being that you're blowing up individuals who aren't drug traffickers down there off the coast of Venezuela. So just the hypocrisy is incredible. All right, but there's a judgment for all that. So, Abaratazah, this was edifying. Till next time, I say shalom.